Happy endings aren't all they're chalked up to be anymore. With so many films filling up studio shelves and overflowing DVD racks, there's only so much and they've all lived happily ever after we can take. What's the remedy to this, you ask? Why, that would be killing everyone off in a fiery filmic blaze, of course. Films that are not afraid to treat their characters realistically are much more fun to watch, as TV fans can surely attest to with shows like Game of Thrones and The Walking Dead with their notorious bloodlust. Taking a leaf out of their book, these 10 films embrace death to its most extreme, leaving no one standing from either the main cast or in some cases the entire world by the closing credits. Nice. Whether it be through cataclysmic events, infectious disease, or just plain old murder, there's plenty of ways to wipe out a cast and shake things up, as these examples definitely prove. With that in mind, I'm Ash from What Culture, and these are the 10 best movies where everyone dies. 10. Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The sequel to the original Planet of the Apes, Beneath the Planet of the Apes explores exactly what it says on the tin. A subterranean colony of mutant humans that live beneath the main cities occupied by futuristic primates. Simple. Worshipping a giant nuclear bomb and deformed from years of radioactive exposure, American astronaut Brent has to try and find the original film's Taylor, while surviving 2 battling species that are just as primitive as each other. With the apes intent on wiping out humankind and eventually discovering the underground group, the bomb is detonated in a final act of defiance when the 2 worlds come to battle, wiping out the planet and its inhabitants in the process. This didn't stop numerous sequels, remakes and reboots from happening, however, though the central themes of race and war have always been interestingly played out on screen in the 8 movies. 9. This Is the End. This Is the End is a big old mates fest in the world of cinema, literally as well as figuratively. When James Franco decides to hold a party for the celebrity elite of Hollywood, an apocalyptic event soon cuts celebrations short. Trapped in this sprawling home and terrified of the demons outside, Seth Rogen and pals must try and survive as demons run amok and cataclysmic events unfold. By sacrificing their lives in selfless ways, the group learns they can earn a place in heaven instead of being condemned to being eaten alive by Danny McBride and his gimp Channing Tatum. Satan gets his dick cut off, Jonah Hill gets possessed, and Pineapple Express gets its spiritual sequel played out on screen. It's a wild ride. 8. Sunshine. As a Danny Boyle film, Sunshine is of course tense, gritty and atmospheric, warping from a science fiction thriller into a slasher movie when the Icarus II discovers its predecessor floating through space and decides to board, instead of heading to complete their mission to reignite the sun. With the old captain having gone insane and having sabotaged his own ship, he repeats his destructive behaviour aboard the Icarus II, but not before the bomb is decoupled from the doomed spacecraft and is flown into the sun manually. Of course, this results in the death of the entire crew and our audience experience of everyone. For the sake of the Earth surviving and the sun itself being brought back to life, I'd say it was probably worth it, even if it is upsetting that it wasn't entirely necessary. Have they not seen Alien, Event Horizon, played Dead Space? Jeez. 7. The Hateful Eight. Quentin Tarantino's 8 film and second Western divided audiences upon its release in 2015. But if there's one thing that he knows how to do right, it's graphic violence, usually resulting in graphic deaths. The Hateful Eight is no different. The plot centres around 8 individuals crossing paths upon taking refuge from a blizzard in a stagecoach stopover. In an explosion of gunshots, poison and even a hanging, not one of the group ends up leaving Minnie's haberdashery in the end, with our final 2 survivors bleeding out over a forged letter from Abraham Lincoln. How very poetic. Whilst not Tarantino's best work, it is still an epic piece of cinema full of twists and turns that lead to the shocking outcome, however likely it may have become over the course of the movie. 6. The Blair Witch Project. As a found footage horror film, the main cast have to die for their footage to be, well, found. The Blair Witch Project is no different, subjecting 3 terrified campers to a series of events that imply something terrible is in the woods with them. We watch as the film wipes out the unknown cast via an unseen force, handily causing their camcorder to be left behind for us to witness their demise. Of course, viewers in 1999 weren't blessed with the wealth of experience and filmmaking knowledge that we have gathered over the past 20 years, and the abrupt deaths of students Heather Donahue, Michael C. Williams and Joshua Leonard were a shock to say the least. We would never expect to see a real person's death played out on screen for our entertainment, Yet that's exactly what the video makes out to happen. It's shocking, unnerving, and a little too close for comfort. 5. The Thing. The Thing is John Carpenter's tale of an alien life form taking over human researchers in the Arctic after being discovered buried deep in the ice, manipulating their bodies for its goal of assimilating all life into its own twisted vision. Same, to be honest. Okay, this one is a little bit of a cheat, but it's unarguably implied that Childs has been assimilated by the alien thing after disappearing into the tundra earlier in the movie, only to return and sit with MacReady and watch as the camp burns. Even if he hasn't been taken over by the unknown host, the pair are still doomed to freeze to death in the snow with no cover to speak of. If the thing lives, which is very likely, it will survive just as it has done for 100,000 years previously underground, and humanity is f***ed when it finds its way to civilization. 4. Rogue One, a Star Wars story. The first of what will be many Star Wars spin-offs, Rogue One is the beautifully composed prequel to the space stories we know and love. Following a band of rebels as they endeavour to steal the Death Star plans and put a stop to the Empire's evil reign, Rogue One is a cinematic representation of the very first scrolling script we see in the 1977 movie. Ending with all our protagonists wiped out in a low-power Death Star shot, Rogue One did what the other Star Wars, and indeed Disney films, have previously been too scared to do. Kill everyone in an unstoppable nuclear blaze! It should be noted that in the original script treatment, our key rebels actually survive the ordeal and fly off in an escape pod, completely undermining the build-up of the last third of the film. Thankfully, they stuck to their guns and delivered the beautifully rendered destruction of Scarif that the film and we deserved. 3. Dawn of the Dead 2004. In a zombie-addled, post-apocalyptic wasteland, it's pretty easy to make it onto this list as most of the killing is already done for you. Bringing George A. Romero's classic up to date, Zack Snyder's version is a lot more fun, with everything from supply-running dogs to zombie babies. A glimmer of hope shines through for a group of survivors in a shopping mall by escaping to an island on Lake Michigan. And with a few of them actually making it at the end of the film, we soon learn that it was ill-placed. Camcorder footage interspersed throughout the credits shows the island to be overwhelmed by a zombie horde, presumably killing the team as soon as they arrive. The real irony of fighting against a disease for so long comes full circle in discovering there really is no escape. 2. The Cabin in the Woods. It's a giant melting pot of fun references, whilst maintaining a genuinely clever twist on exactly why the film appropriates all these aspects. That reason being that government agencies must sacrifice stereotypical character tropes to the old gods to save our world from annihilation. After following the classic spooky film recipe for most of the movie, all hell breaks loose when our inhabitants of the titular cabin realise their fate and decide to royally f*** the planet by not dying. How selfish. A giant hand breaks through the earth, and if the government is to be believed, literally everyone, everywhere, is screwed. The Cabin in the Woods is particularly brilliant for the simple fact you can take any horror film you've ever watched and apply it to the formula laid out in the film. It's outrageously clever, brilliantly nuanced, and the epitome of horror comedy stylings. 1. Cloverfield. Matt Reeves' apocalyptic movie about an unknown monster ravaging New York was never going to have a happy ending. How do you feasibly take down a creature 25 stories tall that's impervious to artillery fire, bombs, and missiles whilst watching from the camcorder a bunch of scared revelers? No amount of party poppers are going to take that beast down. It's not King Kong or Godzilla or a giant monster movie that sees mankind come out on top. It's just a group of individuals trying to survive in a scenario that's impossible to come out alive in. And instead of sugarcoating it with a crew of Mary Sues defying the ridiculous odds, the film bravely sticks to its themes, never explaining what's happened or why.
Hey guys, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Aren't you a star? Don't forget to subscribe below, and also the people who made this video, they're right here, so go and follow them and give them some love. If you want to see more content, there's probably some stuff flowing up above my head. Why not check it out? It could be fun. I'm not your dad.